I want to start with our first honoree tonight with the induction of Susan Fowler Credle. I told you it wouldn't be long. She will be inducted to the North Carolina, the NC Advertising Hall of Fame. Susan joins 22 members in the hall, which began in 1988 with the induction of Charlie Price. Susan is currently Chief Creative Officer at Leo Burnett. Introducing Susan is distinguished Professor John Sweeney, who I just had a conversation with before we got started, who leads the advertising specialization in the J School and directs the sports communication program. John has won 10 teaching awards during his tenure. Before his university career, he was an advertising creative in one of my favorite cities on earth, Chicago, coincidentally. That's where Susan plies her craft today. John is a real star of the school's faculty with an amazing track record of mentoring and teaching and sending people off, obviously, as you'll see this evening, to careers that end up in the halls of fame. John, please come forward.
I have a lot of students who have gone on to success, and I'm very proud of all of them. But I have only one student named in an article by Advertising Age as one of the top 100 women in advertising history. Yes, advertising history. That woman is Susan Credle. Susan had a passion for the advertising business as a student here on campus. And that passion propelled her through the traditional ego-numbing journey up the ranks of the agency world. She started as a receptionist at BBDO, but then worked her way up to executive creative director of the New York office. Her work included commercials for Visa, Gillette, Pizza Hut, and FedEx, but her most famous campaign was her invention. And yes, they were her invention of the goofy characters for M&Ms. Those commercials have been getting laughs for years, much longer than just about any television show. A few years ago, she told me she was moving to Leo Burnett. Burnett's clients include McDonald's, Hallmark, Allstate, Samsung, Kellogg's, Procter & Gamble, Coca-Cola, and that's just the beginning. It's one of the world's largest agencies with 94 offices in 83 countries. Susan joined Burnett as the creative leader in the Chicago headquarters, and the results have been powerful. Burnett today consistently wins many of the top awards in the industry, and a number of campaigns under Susan's guidance have become, well, famous. My favorite is the character for Allstate Insurance, known as Mayhem. Susan's transition to Leo Burnett has been so successful. She was named Chicago Ad Woman of the Year in 2013. She was named jury president of the Cannes Advertising Competition, perhaps the most prestigious global event in the business, in 2014. Yet throughout, Susan has remained a fan of UNC and a champion of young talent. Just last year, one of our students reported the amazement of Leo Burnett staffers that she, a UNC senior, got a full half hour alone with the agency's chief creative officer when she visited the agency. But that's the Susan I've always known, the cool, witty, grounded person who just happens to be a great friend and one of the most influential leaders of today's advertising industry. I am honored and delighted to introduce, as a member of the North Carolina Advertising Hall of Fame, Susan Credle.
Okay. Well, first of all, thank you so much. And John, I wouldn't be here without John Sweeney if I hadn't met him when I was at the journalism school back in the 80s. I wouldn't have known about advertising. I always say, I met John, I said, he is one of the most ethical, honest, nice people in the world. If that's what advertising is like, I'm going into it. So, thanks. And I also want to thank John. He's introduced me several times, and he does such a great job. And I was talking to Meryl Rose, and she goes, "My mom introduced me," and I was like, "There's not a person in my family that could introduce me because we all cry." So they would just come up and go, "It's Susan," and that would be the end of it. But so thank you for not letting us do this. You know, I was thinking about this story about this a mother who goes into her son's bedroom and she says, "You got to get up. It's time to go to school." And he goes, "I don't want to go to school. I don't want to go to school." She's like, "You get up. It's time to go to school." He goes, I really don't want to go to school." She goes, "You have to go. You're the principal." Now, the subtext of that is a little disturbing to me, but the point I actually like a lot, which is I think part of success is showing up again and again and again. And I would not have shown up without my husband, who's over there. 24 years, he's put me in elevators, he's shoved me, go. And I keep telling everybody, we were talking earlier, I said, work is like surfing. You sit out there waiting for the wave, and you can think the wave's never gonna come and get distracted and get out. And my advice to anybody is just keep showing up, keep believing, and it comes again. They're hard days. So anyways, thanks for 24 years, Joe. I also want to take a moment to thank the admissions office of 1981 because they took a chance on me. And I really have. I've been working for a quarter of a century to make sure that I think it was a good choice. But I really have felt guilty that I took someone else's place because I don't think I really hit the right credentials. I was supposed to, my friend Allison Mertens got in early. I got in way late. She was supposed to come with me as the two of us were going to take on North Carolina from South Carolina, and she got accepted to Williams, and she went there, and I went here. I made so I'm thrilled. I also, it's interesting. I had the opportunity to be interviewed by Adam Bryant of the New York Times corner office a couple of years ago. And he asked me, he said, what was your first leadership, when you were a leader, when was the first time you recognized that you were in a leadership role? And I said, it was with my little brother, Cass. And I was terrible. I tried all sorts of things like manipulation. I wanted to be his puppet master. I lied to him. I bribed him. So I tried out a lot of leadership styles with Cass, and I'm sorry. But he taught me a lot about, what not to do. And the other thing I told Adam is I said, I think I've learned the most about leadership from my family because we are a family of 3 marriages, and we pick up some siblings every time there's a marriage. And somebody said, "How does that work? How are y'all so functional?" And maybe we're not, but but I think what happened is we all said we wanted a family, and so we put ourself aside, our egos aside, and really said, let's try to make a family. And that's what I found in. When I lead companies, it's like, let's find a mission that we all share together and let's live into it. And if we can put our ego aside and really build something, I think we'll do something great. So that's helped me a lot as I'm going through. So thank you to my family for teaching me a lot about how to lead companies. And the final thing I will say is Alan. I remember when I got the Next Generation Award, and I didn't read it very closely, and so I thought it was done. It's like, I'm getting an award from UNC. And then I started Next Generation Award, and I realized I wasn't done. I was just getting started. And I think if I hadn't gotten the Next Generation Award, I wouldn't have dreamed bigger to go on and push myself to do other things. So thank you for that award, because I don't think I would have gotten this award without it. Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations to Susan. Wow. Leo Burnett is very fortunate to have such a leader. And you were still not done, even though you're still not done. We're not done with you. And thank you, John.